In my case, literally the trash was emptying the fridge with all the junk. All right. And I had to announce yesterday time of death at 8 p.m. I had to throw out a nice bottle of Bordeaux. I had to throw it out in the basin. And I could get that aroma coming out that I was throwing it down. And then on top of that, unfortunately, another death in my household. I had to pour out a bottle of rosé to say my goodbyes. But at least that bottle of rosé provided me some great memories on Saturday while watching the Springbok game. So I've taken out the trash. But then I thought to myself, as rugby players, as coaches, what is our trash? What is our trash? Our trash is when we go into that negative mindset where we start doubting ourselves, where we don't believe in ourselves. We have the skill set, we have shown it over and over. But as coaches, sometimes what are we doing? We blame ourselves when a game doesn't go well. We blame ourselves when our team loses or underperforms. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's community call. I'm super chuffed about tonight's chat. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something close to my heart. This is something that will be helping rugby players, coaches, and purpose-driven human beings. It's been an interesting journey for me the last few days and especially the last few weeks. And that's why I decided to talk about tonight's topic. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Gee, what are you going to talk about? So, no, guys, sorry to disappoint you. I'm not going to be debriefing the massacre of the Island Springbok game in the scrums. I know that's all you're going to want to keep it PG tonight. All right. We got some kids listening in, we got some children watching. So, we want to keep it PG. We want to keep it discreet. But yes, I will find time at some stage, but not on this call, to debrief that. We'll decrypt it and we'll go through it together. And it would be awesome to get you guys' feedback on that. All right. So, guys, and the topic is taking out the trash. That is the topic of tonight. Taking out the trash. And like I always tell you guys, the power is in the questions. Ask the right questions. That inspires me to work hard behind the scenes to deliver you guys with the right content. So, taking out the trash. So, I know what you're thinking, like, gee, where does this come? Why taking out the trash? So obviously, I'm a big fan of podcasting, all right? Not just producing my own podcast, but also listening to podcasts. And I spoke actually to one of our community, and this is the power of the community. I spoke to Byron last week. I mentioned to Byron, you know what, of the last few weeks, I let go. And I know I shared the story. And guys, I'm not seeking for attention at all. I always sit here and to be honest with you guys where I am at. All right. I'm not going to take the perfect picture and profile on my videos and post it on Instagram, say I'm in shape. No, I'm not in shape. But I said to Byron, you know what? I've been under the pump. I lost my sleeping habits. I lost my eating habits, all this stuff. And we had a good check-in. We had a good, honest chat. And he shared some of his goals with me. He's actually, well done to Byron. He has actually registered for 3 triathlon events. So good luck with that. Looking forward to his journey on that. And I said I needed to do a hard reset. And I listened to this podcast because I'm a big fan of, the keto diet, for example. Whenever I do approach, use it, it works for me. But listen here, I need to be honest with you guys. I'm not a performance nutritionist. I'm not a nutritionist by trade. It's not my main area of expertise. So if you do want to attempt something or attempt the ketogenic diet, please consult a medical practitioner first. So I need to be clear on that. But it's something that has always worked for me. And I listened to this doctor and she was talking about the benefits and she spoke about it. You got to take out the trash. You got to clean your body. And that's exactly what I did. I did a hard reset this week. I did not just on nutrition, on everything. I did a proper checking of where I'm at. So like, okay, I enjoyed those Pringles on the weekend with the creamy garlic dip. And actually, it was unbelievable watching that Springbok game with my daughter. We had the table set, we had pate, we had snacks, we had bread. And only at some stage, my daughter was looking at me really crazy. She was like, Dad, you crazy. So I'm like, no, you don't understand. Unfortunately, you were not born in South Africa. This is how South Africans watch the rugby. We shout, we scream, we do a lot of beep, 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 beep. But anyway, I got carried. Then eventually the neighbors came over and said, Mr. Steenkamp, is everything all right? We heard there was a bit of a fight. Is everybody okay? Because they want to call police. I'm, no, 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 no. I was just watching rugby. That's it. We live and breathe it. That's how we are. That's how South Africans are. All right. Some South Africans shout for the All Blacks, but I won't mention names. They know who they are. But anyway, guys, so I did a hard reset. So what does that mean? I looked at everything. Am I on track in terms of where I want to be in my coaching journey? Am I on track with my podcast? All these projects that I'm trying to do. What needs priority? Where do I need to put my energy in? I did a hard reset in terms of my eating habits. But once again, everything we want to achieve in life ties down to our purpose, ties down to what we want to achieve in life. So this is why it's so important to talk about this topic tonight, because I feel that it's pertinent to rugby players, because sometimes you just need to take out the trash. All right. In my case, literally the trash was emptying the fridge with all the junk. All right. And I had to announce yesterday time of death at 8 p.m. I had to throw out a nice bottle of Bordeaux. I had to throw it out in the basin, and I could get that aroma coming out that I was throwing it down. And then on top of that, unfortunately, another death in my household. I had to pour out a bottle of rosé to say my goodbyes. But at least that bottle of rosé provided me with some great memories on Saturday while watching the Springbok game. All right, but I didn't throw the brandy out. I'm keeping the brandy for a rainy day. So I didn't throw that out. But anyway, guys, getting off track once again. So I've taken out the trash. I've cleaned everything out. I'm clear on my goals. And even I've been using AI to keep me accountable. That's another topic on its own. And one of the reasons for the hard reset was not just the chat with Byron in the week, because I told Byron, I'm weighing 123 kgs right now. I'm weighing about 124. Guess what? When I got on the scale after celebrating the Springbok win, 126.6 kgs, boom, in your face. All right. And today, 3 days later, by just taking out the trash, I was at 123, boom, flat. Okay, so obviously I was carrying extra liquids. All right, we all know we are South Africans. We are built differently. We drive past the McDonald's, we pick up 2 kilos without eating. So that's just how we are built. We are visual eaters. So I've taken out the trash. But then I thought to myself, as rugby players, as coaches, what is our trash? What is our trash? Our trash is when we go into that negative mindset, where we start doubting ourselves, where we don't believe in ourselves. We have the skill set, we have shown it over and over. But as coaches, sometimes what are we doing? We blame ourselves when a game doesn't go well. We blame ourselves when our team loses or underperforms. But at the end of the day, you're not there with the PlayStation control managing the players. Yes, we are responsible for what happens on the field, but at the end of the day, players got to take ownership and ownership too. And players the same. There are so many things that can clutter your mind as a rugby player. You're asking a lot of questions like, am I good enough? Why is the coach not selecting me? Why am I not being chosen? Why am I not getting a contract? Why am I stuck playing at this level? And even coaches, why I'm not coaching at other level? I'm not getting this opportunity. So taking out the trash, and what is the trash? The trash is that negative thoughts, is that voice in your head saying that I can't do this. I'm not good enough. The trash is living in the past, reliving those disappointments over and over, being in that negative state of mind. The trash is negative people around you, teammates that are talking negatively about the coach because they're not playing, and they're bad mouthing the coach, they're bad mouthing the team, they're bad mouthing the club. Right? That's the trash. What is that? What else? Well, I can give you loads of examples. Toxic relationships, whether it's your partner, whether it's friends. And let's be honest, sometimes we have friends that say, hey, let's go out tonight. Let's go crazy. They might not be serious about the game. Maybe you are as a rugby player. So it's important to make sure from time to time, you as a rugby player, you as a coach, you need to take out the trash. So that means taking stock of what's happening, where you are right now. And I know that's easier said than done. I'll give you an example. You know, I've worked with various players over the last few years, and especially when it comes to players that's overweight. I've worked with a great player, unbelievable talent, freak of nature, but he just keeps on putting weight or he doesn't lose it. He keeps on working hard. So, for example, a lot of rugby players, they have this misconception the more cardio I do or the harder I train, I will lose weight. It's bullshit. You got to get your house in order. You got to sleep well. You got to take care of your nutrition. You got to take care of all those things if you want to achieve your desired goals. And this player, for example, he would be training hard, but what is he eating at his house? Right? He's eating chocolates, he's eating sweets. And that was me, all right, during this last few weeks as well. I can't judge. Sometimes it happens, sometimes life happens. We go off track. And this player, he would just keep on pitching up, training hard, but he wouldn't lose weight. But at the end of the day, what he was doing at his house, he was sleeping late. He was playing video games till 3 in the morning, wasn't getting good sleeping habits in. So, example, in his case, what would be to take out the trash? Buy decent food, buy the right food, get rid of the snacks, have a hard stop with your video games. Myself included, what did I start doing the last week and a half? After 8:30 p.m., I stopped looking at my phone. All right, unless there's an important message, I keep my ringer on, or if there's anything happening, if I'm working somewhere, whatever. But the most important thing is I have a hard stop. And that's part of the trash that I took out. I switch off, I read, I listen to podcasts, spend time with the kids. That's what I do. All right. So at some point, you got to take out the trash, but we got to identify as well why sometimes trash starts to accumulate. There are different triggers. It can be fatigue, it can be stress, pressure, all these type of things. So it's important for you as a player also to identify what your triggers are. And the reason I'm talking about this topic tonight is because this impacts your performance, whether you're a rugby player, whether you're a coach, if there's something that you want to achieve in life. If you're not willing to do what is necessary in order to achieve your goals, you will stay there. There's that simple saying that says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's the main thing. We have great examples here in our community, here tonight on our community call, which is unbelievable. Seeing some familiar faces here, guys that have been going through some tough times. All right, really tough times. And I'm talking about a lot of things. Just tonight, I spoke to a player that learned that his contract is not being renewed. So I had to help him do that transition phase, help him to get over that mental block. So now I know what you guys are saying. Okay, gee, how do we get over this? Okay, it's all good taking out the trash, but how do we get started? So, firstly, you got to realize there's a lot of clutter going on. So, you got to clear your mind. You got to get into a positive state of mind. You got to get rid of those negative thoughts. You got to transform them into positive thoughts. And a great way to help you do that is by identifying those small wins, reminding yourself of what you are capable of doing, reminding yourself of what you have achieved in the past and what is great. So I'm going to share a simple framework for you guys in terms of how to get rid and take out the trash, because this is very important. Most of you in this community here, because you are performance driven, you are purpose driven, whether you're dad, whether you're mom, with your husband, with your wife, whether you're a youngster coming through the ranks, whether you're a coach that wants to make an impact in this team. As a coach, if you're not taking out that trash, you cannot help the players. You cannot be the best version of yourself. And that's a question you can ask yourself and be brutally honest. Am I today the best version of myself? Potentially not. That's normal, because if you're the best version of yourself, then potentially you've achieved the ultimate thing. But are you the best version of yourself that you can be on that day? Yes or no? All right. That you need to be honest with yourself. So, how can you get rid of the clutter? How can you get rid of the trash? Number one, you need to reset and you need to reframe. That's very important. You need to reset and reframe. I'll give you an example. Tonight, when I spoke to this player, obviously disappointed, I said, okay, let's reframe this. If you want to get a new contract by a new club, if you're going to be obsessed with the contract, what do you think is going to happen? You're constantly going to be calling your agent. You're going to ask your agent, do you have any news? I did that back in the day when I got it wrong. Did the clubs contact you? What's happening with the contract? I've learned from that. So I said to the player, now let's reframe. You got 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And now you need to take stock. You need to take stock and ask yourself, where am I at? Where am I at right now? What do I need to do in order to get that new contract at the new club, to be recognized by the teams? Why would teams want me? What do I need to offer them? What do I need to propose them? We always use the same talent gets you in the room, but what you're going to do to keep yourself there. So you can be obsessed about the contract, or you can become obsessed about performance. Ask yourself, what do I need to do in order to perform? What are the attributes that I need to work on over the next 6 weeks to be a consistent performer, to be constantly selected, to showcase my talents? So I say to the player, if you are focused on that, if you're obsessed with performance, the results will take care of itself. The teams will contact you. The teams will come. The agents will call. Actually, my good friend Damien Dusso, he actually mentioned on one of the podcasts that I was on, he said, his advice to players is don't contact the agent. When you're a young player, you don't need to have an agent. The day when you need to have an agent, that agent will contact you. And he will tell you, all right, this team is interested in you. So don't just go out there and have an agent. So that's very important. And after this call, the player was very happy because I said, right, now it's time to prepare. What are the main blocks you need to hit each week? What do you need to focus on? Reset and reframe. And then I asked him, what did you do to reset? And he said to me, Coach, actually, from our past calls and from experience, you've always told us positive distraction. So when something bad happens, obviously you need to allow a time of grief or something like that, but positive distraction. Do something which gives you pleasure, something that will have a positive effect on you. That's very important. Something that has a positive effect on you. I know for Charlie, potentially, he might be doing some painting. You know, he's a man of many talents. He might be going on stage and doing a solo because we know he sings in the church choir. All right. So we all have different things that we can do that gives us pleasure. Something that really gives me pleasure is helping people. Speaking to people. I'm currently helping a former rugby player, international rugby player, find himself, find his identity. And, I'm not charging him anything. I just enjoy helping him and seeing him react, seeing him evolve during this time. So now step number 1, reset, reframe, positive distraction, which is very important. So step number 2 was the positive distraction. Step number 3, take on good habits. Think about the things that you can do that can have a positive effect in your life. So let's say, for example, a coach. All right, you are frustrated. Your team is losing. All right, you're taking heat. So what happens? You go home, you take that baggage home. You're not in a great space. You're not in a great space. You don't want to play with your kids, or your wife says something to you and you just give a short answer. So if you're not doing something to have that reset and get that positive distraction, and if you're not focusing on good habits, it's just going to have a ripple effect. So as a coach, for example, you need your sleep. You need to get your sleep. You need to be clear on what the solutions are. You need to be clear on what are the goals that you want to achieve. Because often as coaches, sometimes we are so team focused. We are so team focused. But what about you? What about you as a coach? You can't give it your all the time. You got to take time for yourself. You got to sometimes bit of self-care for the coach. So you got to take good habits. So in a coach's point of view, you got to get your sleep in. You got to spend time with your family. You got to do something outside of rugby to maintain that balance. You got to take care of yourself. You got to train. Or not have to train, or go for a walk, get outside, do some form of activity. You don't have to be super fit. I'm not chasing six packs. That's not what I want. That's not the transformation I'm chasing. The transformation I'm chasing is being strong, fit, and focused. Because being strong, fit, and focused will allow me to achieve my goals, will allow me to turn my vision into a reality. And there's a lot of the things that I've already mentioned to you guys. Okay, so you got to take on good habits. Rugby players, you got to do your work-ons. You got to get enough sleep in. You got to do your recovery. You got to eat correctly. You got to do your homework. You got to be a student of the game. There's too many rugby players, and I just spoke now to another coach, and he does a lot of consulting with professional teams. And he said to me, Gene, I went in there to help these guys, but some of these guys don't even want to do extras, right? Some of these guys don't want to work. I know the rugby players that's in this community, you're here to learn, you're here to grow. But sometimes professional rugby players, when they're actually in that position, they are living the dream, where their vision has become a reality. They don't want to work. Shame on you. Shame on you. Okay? And I'm doing that not to be controversial or anything. I'm just calling a spade a spade. This is the goal why I jump on these community calls. And, this wasn't the plan, but potentially this might be a podcast for next week, because I think players need to hear this. This is what Coach G is all about. And it's not about speaking in my third person because I'm trying to think I'm awesome or anything like that. Not at all. For those of you that tuned into my podcast in the week where I spoke about how Coach G came into his own, and I'll share it again, I'm getting goosebumps. There was a time as a rugby player, I wasn't confident, all right? Well, I was just known as Gerthro or Gatro or Guntro, or whichever version they called me back then in South Africa. Sometimes that actually, sometimes I felt bad about it. Like, don't these people respect me to call my name the right way or anything like that? But G came into his own, someone who is confident, someone who wanted to be different, someone that wanted to inspire people. And that evolved later into my life as well as a coach. And this is why I love this community. The relationships that have been built is unbelievable. And that's very important. If I look now, we've got some amazing people here: Jack, Sam, all right, Garvin, Craig, unbelievable having you, Charlie, Kevin. So many of you had massive impacts in my life so far. All right. And this is what a community is all about. So, good habits, right? Good habits. And the last step is setting clear, concise goals, right? Something which is not just a dream, far out of reach, clear goals. It doesn't have to be big goals. It doesn't have to be in 2 years or in a year. It can be, what do I want to achieve by the end of the week? What do I want to achieve in 2 weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time? All right. I'm going to share this publicly. My goal, 3 months' time, I want to weigh 115 kgs, but that's not actually my goal. That's just actually more a milestone. I want to be strong, fit, and focused. All right. I want to be able, actually, let's maybe just be honest, being a front row player, I just want to play paddle with the backs. All right. I don't want to tear a hamstring while I'm playing paddle. No, I'm joking. But actually, I do want to play. I'm due to catch up with Brian Abad and play a paddle game with him. But those guys are moving way too fast for me. But being strong, focused, fit, and focused for me is something personal, because it's actually not just about me. It's about people that's important to me in my life, people around me that are struggling. And we can always preach. I often say, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to be motivated, you need to be clear on your vision. But what are you doing? Are you actually taking control? When you're giving it advice, are you actually living and breathing what you're saying? And I'll be honest, there's a lot of things that I put out there. Sometimes I don't follow it, I go off track, but I do have the ability to be honest with myself and get back on track. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to achieve. All right. I know this was a heavy topic tonight, and I felt that it was very important because shifting back focus to rugby players. If you don't take out the trash, it impacts your training, it impacts your performance, it impacts your future. And I have a lot of respect for rugby players that have the ambition to become professional. Why do I respect those players? The amateur players that want to become professional, there's a simple reason for that. Because you guys are working your asses off. Some of you are studying full time, some of you are working full time. I spoke the other day to a rugby player, but he's working 40 hours a week. And then he's still training 3 times a week as well. And he's still doing his work ons. So if you want to perform, you got to take care of your engine. You got to get rid of the trash. Mentally, physically, and emotionally. That counts for everything. And I'm not here to give any relationship advice. If you're in a relationship that is toxic, really toxic, you potentially need to have a hard look at it. And I'll be honest with you, when I was way younger, I was in toxic relationships. But I just kept on hanging on. And then it just kept on taking me down. But when I realized that the relationship was toxic, boom, cut it, things changed. That's life. Okay? That's life. But anyway, so now what I'm doing, I've been rambling about, I spoke way too long. My apologies for that, guys. But, I just felt really passionate about this topic because this is applicable to every single one in this community, every single one of you. If we have the ability to take it, and we're only here for a very little time on earth, we're on borrowed time, right? And not talking about religion, we all have different beliefs. I respect everybody's belief, but you got to make the best with the time you have here, right? And maybe just want to mention out my condolences to the family of my former mentor, Tat Botha. He was a legend in Free State rugby, and he made a massive impact in my life. A massive impact. When I was in Bloemfontein at Free State University, being a student, I didn't have a lot of money. My parents were working hard, and I remember there was a stage, we had to go on a tour, and I had to buy a tracksuit, and I didn't have the money to buy the tracksuit, and I tried to come up with like a stupid story that I'm injured and niggled. So he said, "Hey, what's up?" So I said, "Coach, I don't have the money to buy the tracksuit. It's fine, I'll buy it for you." He looked after me. He was like a dad to me. And I just want to say, in his memory, Tat, thanks for everything that you have done for me. I really do appreciate it. And I know you'll be looking down upon us. And we all have somebody unique in our lives that have done this. And maybe today you're in that position. And that's why it's important as well to take out the trash. It's important to get things clear, start on a clean slate. And it's okay. Sometimes sorry for my language, you're going to fuck up. You're going to fuck up. You're going to get it wrong. But that's life. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to be opening this up for the rest of the community. It does not have to be on topic. If there's any questions you have, whether it's about mindset, whether it's about the podcast, whether it's about the weekend's game, go for it. I think maybe as a coach as well, what could be taking out the trash be? It's not just getting rid of those negative players. It could be creating a safe environment where players can feel they can share, or they can come to you, they can confide in you, but you also got to be genuine about it. You can't hold it against the player. Recently on the podcast, the Coach G show, I had Paul Willemse, and we spoke about it, that players got a lot going on. I know I spoke about professional players earlier. Sometimes they don't want to do work, don't want to do the workouts, but sometimes they got a lot of stuff going on and they have no one to speak to. We all support them. We all love this game of rugby. We're all glued in front of our televisions this weekend, but there are some real struggles that some of the players are facing. And also we've seen recently with regarding the mental health of rugby players, things don't end so well. So we definitely need to create a safe space and create a safe environment for players, athletes, but that's life in general. With you in the workspace, to create an environment where people can be the best version of themselves. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing, my man? All good your side? Anything you'd like to add? Any questions you have?
You got me?
I got you.
All right, good. Because I've got the camera. I've got a new computer. I can't get the bloody camera to work. And no, I'm just enjoying listening to it and appreciating the depth of the conversation, the exchange. One of the things is, going back to your point, and one of the things I bring up in the courses that I give is that you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your players. End of the day. And the other side of the coin is that being able to find strategies, tactics that are going to help you stay engaged and stay wanting to be involved is major. I've been through many phases in my coaching life with this, but I'm finding this conversation fascinating in many ways. So as I pointed out, the little team I coach, women's college team in the States, they punched well above their weight and they got through to the playoffs of the local state things. They didn't go on to nationals, thank God. It'd be like Wales against the Springboks if we had. But yeah, it was great to see the growth in the players. But going back to your points, giving them the opportunities to grow and develop as players and to to check in on yourself to make sure you're giving them that best opportunity.
Okay, no,
It's
great. No, thanks for sharing that, Kevin. I really appreciate it, and thanks for your feedback as well and for your contribution. All right, guys, we are coming close to an end, so I don't want to keep you guys here too long as well. So I just want to give the pass on the back to Charlie as well. Charlie, you're back. Anything you would like to add? Any questions that you have?
No, I just want to say sorry. I had to take an important call now. But anyway, from the stuff that I saw and heard, it's very pertinent, and I think the main thing is you should know where you are at.
Mm,
You must always know where you are at and where you want to be, and then, as you said, what are you going to do to get there? So yeah,
mm,
no, I found the part that I could listen to very interesting, and yes, I mean, all the time, all of us will get at the point where you need to take stock and say, but I need to throw away the negative stuff, or sometimes negative people even in your life.
yeah.
But very interesting. Maybe you can be a negative person for someone else. So so sometimes you
True.
need to look in the mirror as well to notice, hey, but aren't I the one that maybe is the negative influence for the group? So you must definitely take honest stock of yourself here. So that's all that I want to add. But thanks.
No, a great point, Charlie. You actually touched base on something. It takes me back years back, and I did a lot of reflection on my career, and because I'm on this journey where I want to share as much as possible. I was never perfect. If I have to go back to my time at Toulouse towards the end, when the old guard, when we knew our time was up, and when we weren't playing, so there was a period where I was complaining a lot. All right, I was complaining a lot, and this is wrong. Look at the way we're training, this and that. And instead of focusing on, like, what can I do to help? We all sometimes go down that path. And I think there's an important lesson in that, especially if you're an experienced player in a team. And this all happens. This is life. There is going to come a time where you're no longer going to be involved, where you're going to be pushed aside, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the team, which is the most important, and it comes down to performance. And my advice would be part of the solution. Don't become another problem. Don't become another problem for your team. And just maybe something which I might be sharing you guys, which I haven't spoken about yet. So, obviously, right in the beginning, in the previous podcast, lessons from the game, I had on the legendary Owen Franks. And his journey was so unbelievable. And just for you guys here in the community, I'll be turning that into an ebook and as a learning tool for you guys. So it's taking a bit of time. I just spoke about taking on more projects, but yeah, plate is full. All right. Looks like I like a buffet of projects. That's how I work. But there was one thing that resonated for me is that 2019 World Cup, he didn't make it. He didn't make it. And the big lesson from that was is that it was tough for him. But he said from him, gee, it was even hard on my family. Like they were even he had to actually in a way like comfort his family because they couldn't come to terms that he was going to represent the All Blacks in another World Cup. And the point that I'm trying to come is that our behavior impacts people, and people, there are other people that are with us on this journey, people that support us. So don't for one moment just think when you are disappointed, you're the only one. You got your loved ones, the people around you that are just as disappointed as you. And sometimes they feel it even more. And it was brilliant that he shared that, you know what? He just focused on the next job. But with a bit of reflection, he realized he should have maybe taken a bit of time to process. He just went straight to Northampton, went over there, didn't go that well. So it's important. It comes down to the point of earlier tonight. You got to reset and reframe. You need to just take some time. You need to do that positive distraction and get yourself in the right state of mind.
Yep.
Okay, guys. So before I just end up the show here, I just thought maybe quickly just give you guys a bit of insight to the latest updates, what's been happening. So just with the Pro Scrum Analysis course, all right, it's here in the community. You can see it right there. All right. So obviously you need to purchase access for it. But just to see how it has evolved over the last few weeks, All right. Originally, there was just that first part, but we've got now the evaluation systems, setting your standards and KPIs for your Scrum analysis, developing your note-take system. And then as well now, we brought in analyzing by phase. As you can see, it's quite in-depth videos. Right on the free course, it was maybe 1 or 2 minutes on each point. So I'm going in-depth into each point. So on the next module, still about 2 or 3 that's left, I will definitely be deep diving. And so you can definitely access this. So all you have to do is I'm just going to give you guys the view on what it would look like if you have to purchase it up. So if, for example, you want to go into the Coach G, go to the classroom. So obviously you have to get access there. You'll have to put in your details. You'll be able to get access. But while you guys are in here, the free Scrum Analysis course is still available, and also to all the new members. If you haven't checked the onboarding calls yet, please check this out so you can see how the community works. All right. Okay. So just on a final note before I sign off, I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you that joined tonight. I really do appreciate it. It was unbelievable. Really enjoyed tonight's call. But most importantly, I just want to send another message of, how can I say, I won't say reinforcement or renfort, we would say in French. Let's continue to inspire. Let's continue to be present. When you say I'm not present, inspire the community with the post. Share something, comment on the post, add advice, especially the coaches in here that have benefited from my knowledge and my experience. A lot of you guys are very well equipped here to help so many people. And also, if you have something that you are struggling with, put a post out there, ask a question, comment on the post. And especially on the post that I'm putting out there when I'm talking on a specific topic, don't hesitate. Let's keep this community, and it's normal. This community has been going on now, if I'm not mistaken, beginning August. So we're quite a while in. And in order for community to be sustainable and continue to have these type of chats, we need to constantly show up. And we all have busy lives. I've got busy life as well. But I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed these weekly chats, because what I share here is what I'm feeling at the moment and what I feel that the community needs. All right, guys, I've spoken long enough. I need to finish things up because I actually need to go to the airport because my mom's arriving from South Africa. All right, so I'm looking forward to that. And a lot of you guys might not know what this is. It's a specific dessert. If you are a person of color in South Africa, she'll be making me some trifle. All right, so if you're a person of color, trifle is probably one of the greatest desserts you will ever eat in your life. Basically, it's just a mixture of cake and jelly and custard and cream and chocolate. But oh my goodness, it is so good. So just a quick anecdote. When it would come to Christmas time, when I was a kid, my brother and I, we would have a fight. So my mom would make at least about 2 to 3 bowls of trifle. And whenever I would have 1 bowl of trifle, my brother would have as well. Whenever he dished, I dished, because we didn't want the other one to eat more. We even ate at times trifle for breakfast the following day, because we would get up early because we wanted to make sure that the other one didn't eat more. But anyway, that's enough. I would like to wish you guys an unbelievable evening. Thanks for joining this, but thanks for tonight's chat. And also thank you for your support in this community, because through your stories, through your comments and what you share, you continue to inspire me on a daily basis. And that said, I still have some work to do. I need to catch up on all the messages. Currently looking there, the DMs is not looking great, and the notifications neither. So I got to make sure I catch up. But anyway, have a good night, guys, and thanks to everyone on the replay. Please comment if there's anything that resonated with you, and we'll see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.